Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's TTI, True Temperance International Family Health Show. It's been a week since I last saw you, or you last saw me, or unless you've seen us last week when we were not on air. So thank you for joining us. Eventually I'll get my words out correctly. So yes, my name is Sharon, and I'm your host for today. And joining me on another sofa in another house, we have
Jonathan Curlew, and I will be assisting Sharon today.
I'm sorry if my signal seems a bit slow. I'm not sure what's going on, but hopefully you'll be able to hear me properly. So yes, today's family health show, we're still in season 2, Fearfully. I'm not sure how long this season is going to go on for, but we do have Fearfully and Wonderfully Made Bodies. And this is the time where we get to know a bit more about how our bodies work, what we need to do to promote healthy bodies, what we can do to improve what's not gone quite right, how to get it back to the way God would like us to be, and to teach your friends and family when they need the help as well. So those of you who have joined us on YouTube, hi guys, nice to see you again. Have a wonderful day wherever you are. And I said good afternoon, didn't I? Well, wherever you are, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I'm not sure what the time of day is, but hello. So we have another exciting presentation for you, which we're just going to quickly show you as I make this screen a bit larger. There we go. Oh, there we go. That did it really quickly before I even realized. So yes, today's presentation, we have the necessity of touch. And this is going to be another really interesting, exciting presentation. You may even be able to explore things about yourself that you didn't even realize, or be reacquainted with, I don't know. You'll find out, okay? It's going to be a very good session, and presented by who was our co-host last time we came on, Joan Cornwall. So she's going to be sharing with us about the necessity of touch. So really looking forward to today's presentation. Jonathan, could you go through our disclaimer, please?
Yes, most definitely. Only a physician can diagnose, treat, or prescribe for illness or disease. Any information disclosed or discussed at the TTI Zoom talk show or for information purposes only. Please continue to seek professional medical advice from your general practitioner regarding any illness or disease you may be suffering from.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I forgot to mention also the rest of our team members who you might not be able to see on the screen. Their cameras may not be opened, but welcome to the rest of our team as well, wherever you're zooming in from, whichever part of the UK or whichever part of the world. Always great working with our amazing team. So if it's your first time on TTI, which stands for True Temperance International, most weeks when we have a presentation, we set a challenge. And what we like to do is to encourage our viewers with the challenge, or I say our family, because really you're more than our viewers, you're our TTI family. And we like to encourage you with the challenges, so stay in touch with you as well for various ways of encouraging you, or answering some questions. We normally have a Q&A at the end, and sometimes we don't have enough time to deal with all the questions, or questions might come to mind later on. You think, you know what, I should have asked that. So we have these groups where you can stay in touch. We have the men's wellness group. There may be things that are pertinent to men's health, and you may feel that you'd rather have a man's perspective dealing with answering your query, or you want to share something amongst the brothers. So it's an opportunity for you to stay in touch with some brothers with regards to men's health. So there is the URL for the Men's Health Wellness Telegram group. So you do need to install Telegram to get onto any of these groups on your device. Then we have the TTI Women's Wellness group. Similarly to the men's, we're going to have things that may be pertinent more to women, and more, perhaps people may be more comfortable sharing their queries, their concerns amongst a group of women. So we have the wellness Telegram group. So we're sensitive to that. And also we have the spiritual health group, and that is non-gender specific. If you have any particular prayer requests or some words of encouragement that you wish to share, then there's that group as well. So there's 3 groups. You know which category you fit into. So by all means, please join us in our groups and we will stay in touch with you. We have some regular contributors, especially to the spiritual health group. We try to bring the things over from WhatsApp every so often, but we will do our best to stay in touch with you that way. So that's our Telegram groups. And Jonathan, you're muted.
I beg your pardon. So this is a conference that we all been excited about and we've been talking about, and it will be coming up in August, the 29th of the August to the 4th of September. And I believe that you have a video on that, Sharon. Is that something that you want to share now, or is that something that we'll do at the end?
We'll do it after this promo bit because it's just going to be smoother. And then, yeah. So we'll share that.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying we'll share the video when we've come to the last, when we get to the last slide, then we'll go into the video.
So what I'd like to say, I think when the idea first came about and the inception from the beginning, we've been promoting it and we've been saying to people, look, book up before it's too late. And sadly, for some people, it's too late, because what they really want, for some people who want caravan now, they're all gone. And there are still space though. So if you really want to come, I would suggest to you that you get in contact with the team, or the number is on the screen. You can ring that number for further information.
Yes, and so the spaces that are available, we have some chalets which sleep, I think they sleep 5 or 6 people, possibly 6 people. So if you know a group of friends who would love to come apart, come away and just have a nice break away in the beautiful countrysides of Kefenli, which we'll tell you a bit more about in the video, then book together. And then you can share a room. So you fellowship together in your room. You can have your devotions in your room if you choose to do that. And then meet up with us for the various workshops and devotional settings and meetings towards the evening as well. So yes, so those are the cabins, and they chalets, sorry, and they are bunk beds. Depending on how many people in your room, you may not need to sleep on the top bunk. Okay, so that's that there for you. But like I said, the video will be running shortly, so please, we really look forward to seeing you. In fact, there's lots of space available, so yeah, it's not too late. Okay. And this poster is one we do with True Temperance International. We recognize that part of temperance is abstaining from anything that is harmful to your body and moderation in what is good. And most of us would know that cigarette smoking is harmful to the body. So this is a poster reminding us that it's time to quit. So if you know of anybody or yourself, you're struggling with the smoking, this is a workshop that will help you, or it's a not even a workshop, it's more than that. It's a week away in Scotland. It says, oh, I need my glasses here, but hey, it's in the Aviemore Scottish Highlands. I should have read this before. Cornwall Christian Centre. I'm not sure that I pronounced that correctly. Yeah, I got my glasses here. That doesn't help me, but anyway, Cairngorm Christian Centre. And this is with Louise Reed, who's presented on the TTI show several times and comes on as a viewer as well. And she's a medical missionary, trained, and is working in alongside Coleth Bailey with this week's retreat. So for more information, the phone numbers are on there for you. One for Louise, which is 07833 497 532, and Mavis is on 0778 991 4575. This is health literature and products will be available for purchase. And the program may also benefit those who don't smoke but would like to help deal with lifestyle diseases through natural methods. So that's from the 16th to the 22nd of May this year in Scotland. So please feel free to take note of that information. Jonathan?
And here we just like to say thanks to everyone who has been supporting us throughout the past 2 years. We've been going, I think, Sharon, if that's correct. We just like to thank you for coming on each week. We look forward to, getting the speakers, planning the programs, and presenting them, as is our desire that we all be well and be in good health. So we thank you for all your support. And if you feel impressed and you want to donate to us financially, the bank details is on the slide as well, so you can do so. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you, Jonathan. So before we go over to our presenter for today, and I think we're going to ask her a question before she starts as well, so you can get to know her a little bit. We're going to show our video, but I do see a hand there from Hannah Boateng. Is it related to the come apart and rest a while? Do you have a question, Hannah? And is Hannah able to unmute? You can speak if you're able to unmute, Hannah.
She should be able to unmute now.
Okay. Do you have a question, Hannah, or was that a hand up by accident? Okay, I'm guessing it's a hand up by accident, unless maybe after we show the video, maybe your question will be dealt with. So I'm just going to share my screen now. And share sound, that's fine. And we're off.
Come Apart and Rest a While is a 1-week holistic retreat in the relaxed rolling hills of the Welsh countryside. With something for everyone, from health checks and massages to seminars on country living, cooking demonstrations and the use of herbs, this conference brings together ministries from around the British Isles, sharing their experience and knowledge with you in a health retreat environment. Running from the 29th of August until September the 4th at the Stephen Lee Conference Centre. Whether it's for the week, the weekend, or just a day, your short vacation will exceed your expectation. And with food services ranging from self-catered to plant-based meals, and with comfortable spaces available from ensuite chalets to leisure homes and caravans, you can enjoy your tranquil accommodation. So take some rest, be refreshed, and make sure to make your reservation today. See you there.
Okay. So I hope if you haven't booked yet, that's helped to whet your appetite. for the desire to come and join us, meet us there in the flesh, in person. Whilst it's lovely to spend time with you every week or every so often on Zoom and get to meet you, it will be even better when we meet together and we can spend more time. We're not limited or restricted by the time available on Zoom, and we can walk about as well together. So I'm really looking forward to that time, as well as practical hands-on experience. So that's going to be great. Now, last week, we weren't on air. We had a break because in the TTI group, we've decided that it's good to not necessarily be on continuously every single week, but to have time where we could have at least once a month time off air, so we can go visiting other places or just meet, even fellowship together as a team. And last week, it was the culmination of something that's been happening for probably about 7 weeks over in Manchester, UK. So there's been some medical missionary training that was put on with Holistic You, who you're going to be hearing from shortly, and the TTI team were supporting her. And it was the graduation. So there was, I think it was 14 people that were graduated last week, Saturday, Sabbath morning, during Sabbath school in Manchester South. So it was their graduation. And then on the Sunday, what happened on the Sunday, Jonathan? We got busy.
So on the Monday.
On the Monday, of course, because it was a bank holiday.
On the Monday, we had a health expo, which was well attended, I would say, by the community. So we had a lot of people in. We had some doctors there. We were doing health checks, and it was really nice to see the community. And out of that, we have some people that, because what I should say to you, there is an introduction to another health medical missionary program, which will be starting tomorrow as well in Manchester, because the first one was so successful that other people want to be trained as well, and we'll be having another one tomorrow. But last Monday was really great with the health expo, the whole experience, and there's quite a few testimony as well from that.
Yeah, definitely. And at the expo, one of our responsibilities as TTI was to do a live demo with juicing, and there was lots to try, lots of samples going on, people trying things for the first time. Some people were very familiar with juicing, but hearing about the health benefits with the different ingredients made it that bit more beneficial to those that were there. And I know one young lady said to me, right, tomorrow, that's it, I'm going to buy a juicer. So that was really good. So really enjoyed the opportunity to serve our brothers and sisters there in Manchester. And it was the churches coming together as well. That was the really nice part about it. The churches from Manchester district all came together to support this health expo. So that was brilliant.
And I'd just like to say, Sharon, it's just so refreshing or rewarding to see people recovering their health, or being educated and put on the path to recover their health. I mean, there was a lady who has been suffering for I don't know, long time. She's been suffering with lower back problem. When we started out, she was just limping coming to the classes. And last week I saw her in high heels. and I was like, is that the same person? But indeed, and it was simple, applying some treatment, some technique that she was introduced to. And she's well on her way for recovery. There's quite a lot of testimony I could share, but I won't take away everything, because if I share everything, then Joan will have nothing to share. So, yeah,
yeah, you held me back, because I was going to speak about somebody else that started off at the beginning with a walking frame, and need I say any more? Okay, I think you've got the gist.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. For those of you that missed the video, stay tuned. We will be showing it again at the end before we go off air again. But we are going to hand over very shortly to Joan, who's going to be speaking to us on the necessity of touch. But Joan, you've been very patient waiting in the wings. Thank you for that. Hi, Joan.
Hi, Sharon. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello.
Okay, so this is Joan Cornwall, also known as Holistic You. And now I need to have a question for you because I don't like doing this and not asking something about you. So, right, am I right in assuming that summer is your favorite season in
It is. It is for various reasons.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, what do you like best about summer and what do you like best about winter?
The thing I like best about summer is the fact that you can get outdoors more, you can enjoy the wonderful sunshine and natural vitamin D. People tend to be happier in the summer. I'm sure there's less road rage and stuff like that going on because of what happens to your body when the sun is shining. Nice to see the birds, look at the greenery. You know, our eyes were made to see green. That is a scientific fact. God made our eyes to see green. So it's to see the green, the trees, the blossoming, being able to grow things and just being able to, it's almost like freedom, you know, in the summer, isn't it?
It's funny you should say that because as we was driving home from church this, call it this afternoon really, as we were driving home from church and we were coming into the village, Edgar was saying, oh, look at that. You know, we could smell the rapeseed. Is it rapeseed? The yellow one. But then you could see all the hills and it would just look, it's just, that's why I love driving home this way. Yeah. It was really nice. I must admit, it was really good. It
does something to the body, doesn't it? It does something to the mind and the body. Why, you know, there's a lot of readings out there and scientific evidence to prove that being outside in the countryside, it's a blessing. It does something to your whole being.
And I did actually want to zoom outside, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't run out of power, so I stayed indoors.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you like best, Joan, about the winter time?
Do you know, strangely enough, I don't mind the winter at all. The only thing I don't like is that it gets darker too quickly. But otherwise, the winter, I do like it because to me, it's fresh on the skin. And it's just nice to see another season. So you have some countries that don't have any seasons, they just have one. So I think I like the UK in terms of the change of seasons. The snow, not too much snow. I do like mild winters. I prefer the mild winters. Because when it's too harsh, then the water freezes, the pipes and the water freezes, and people can't start their car up in the mornings and things like that. And you can't get outside as much as you'd like to. And the thing with the UK winter is that sometimes you tend not to be able to get outside because it can get quite stormy and cold and wintry.
Depending on whereabouts you live.
Depending on whereabouts you are.
Yeah, some people do get snowed in.
Yeah. So, and then you can't. One dislike is that obviously you can't grow food unless you're lucky enough to have a polytunnel greenhouse. Yeah,
that's a good point. Actually, I didn't think about that one. So so you have to store and reap when you can, and know how to preserve your food so that when the winter comes, you've got what you need. Obviously, there's the supermarkets, but you know, if you're growing your own, you really want to know how to preserve your food, so it's there. Okay, thank you so much for that, Joan. We're going to move over now, Jonathan, if that's all right. If there's anything is there anything I missed?
Not that I can think of. I was just hoping that, she still have the opportunity that Joan will share some of the testimonies.
Yes, I will. I will actually.
Manchester.
Okay, well, thank you then. Well, it's over to you. The platform is yours, Joan.
Thank you very much. And hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, TTI. And I am here to talk about the necessity of touch, And before I get into it, I think it's worth mentioning that, Sharon and Jonathan alluded to the fact that we were in Manchester. Now, Manchester South Seventh-day Adventist Church, they've got a a big medical missionary evangelistic campaign. And what this campaign includes is how to do plant-based meals, and that, how to prepare plant-based cooking, and also how to evangelize. So you may be a medical missionary, you may be someone that deals with plant-based cooking, but also you need to know how to evangelize. So maybe you're doing the medical missionary work, medical missionary evangelism, and then the person that you're ministering to, they may need Bible studies. And what this campaign is doing, it's kind of putting all three together: the evangelism, the plant-based meals preparation, and the medical missionary. So the medical missionary training is one that I've been involved in with the TTI support, and it's been wonderful, absolutely wonderful, such a blessing. And testimonies have come out of the medical missionary training, in that when people come to medical missionary training, and not just there for themselves and their loved ones and their friends and their family, but they're there for themselves. And sometimes they may come along and they've already got a pre-existing condition. And so what the medical missionary training does, which is kind of centered around the 8 laws of health, but also looking at the 10 lifestyle diseases that the world is suffering from at the moment, and they will actually use some of that information and then apply it to their lives. So it's been a blessing. There was also a health expo, so we can't take the credit because Manchester South Seventh-day Adventist Church are the ones who organised it. But one thing we can take credit for is that we have been doing the medical missionary training, and to see so many people out, it's kind of like it dovetails into my presentation, because it's been a long time for many people to come out their homes and to meet other people. And in fact, we know that there are people that says, I'm never going back to church again. Why? Because we shut down, and there goes my communication, my way of communicating with people. There are some people who are afraid to leave their homes. And what we found was when a lot of people came from the community, and some people came from the church and other churches that are in Manchester, is that you could see that there was some sort of joy and satisfaction knowing that they were out there and meeting other people. Not only that, we met people who haven't seen their GP for a very long time. In fact, some of them says that, they can't tell when they last saw their GP. And we know that it's for various reasons, of course, the pandemic. But to see these people who are saying, I just want to know what's going on with me, we took their vital signs. We had doctors there who took their vital signs and asked them questions, and they were able to have a printout sheet of what was going on with them, and how well there was a point system, and how well they were living according to the laws of health. And so then after they went through the different, weight, taking their weight, doing the step exercise, the peak flow, all of those things, then doctors and I had the opportunity of actually seeing some of them. And I have to say it was such a blessing to sit down with them, to go through their sheet, to explain, do you know what this means? And then to kind of share with them how they could possibly, remedy some of the conditions that they were suffering from. So to actually be out there in the community and in the church, and thank God for Manchester South Seventh-day Adventist Church, it was wonderful to put something on like this in the community. And yeah, Jonathan is correct in saying it was very, very well attended. In fact, we had to really kind of start to close things down. Otherwise, we would have been there for a very long time. People are yearning. What we're finding is that people are yearning for contact in the world, especially based with what has been taking place. Let me just move this out the way for me. Let me just see if I can get rid of this. So people are yearning. They are yearning to see people. They are yearning. They've spent the best part of how many months in their home, and they've had no physical contact. Some of them they've not had any touch, someone to touch them, someone to embrace them and hold them. And what I wanted to do is to talk about the necessity of touch. Now, I didn't want to say the science of touch. I really wanted to say the necessity, because it is so necessary for us to practice what is a God-given instinct, to touch. That is what has been given to us. So if we were to look at touch and what it actually means, I got this from Noah Webster Dictionary. It's about contact. It's the hitting of two bodies, the junction of two bodies at the surface so that there is no space between them. So that is what touch is. That is what we recognize as touch. And I'll go on further in my slides as to how important that touch is and what it actually means. So look at these two elephants, look at them. What is it about touch that the animal kingdom and humans appreciate? And I should actually go on to say that the animal kingdom and humans do the same. The animal kingdom, they touch, they communicate by touch. And also we as humans, we communicate by touch. And of course, the past few months, even couple of years, that has been minimized for various reasons, but it has had a detrimental effect on so many people. And I don't think we can underestimate how much effect it's had on people's lives and their mental well-being, and even physical, you'll see. So this baby skin contact on his or her mother's chest. Humans are made to be touched. We actually have a network of dedicated nerve fibers in our skin that detect and emotionally respond to the touch of another person. Absolutely. Affirming our relationships, our social connections, and even our sense of self. Skin to skin contact even in the first hour after birth has shown to help regulate newborns' temperature, heart rate and breathing, and decreases crying. Touch also increases a mother's relaxation hormones and aids in the release of oxytocin. Oxytocin, one of the most wonderful hormones that God has given us, I should say, God has given us. And so what happens to a woman? Can you imagine that if all of that takes place when she feels the warmth of her baby on her skin? Imagine those who aren't able to do that. The baby's taken away suddenly for some reason, maybe not well. So let me just do that. Yes, so our bodies are designed to respond to touch and not just to sense the environment around us. You know, babies, for those of us, you know, who have had children, or you see your nephews, your nieces, your grandchildren, if you notice with them as they're growing, what do? They actually touch things. They touch your face. That is the way they explore. Who gave them that ability to do this? None of us had to learn to touch, did we? None of us had to learn to touch. It's instinctive. It's absolutely instinctive. So let's go on. Humans are made to be touched. Let's remember that as we go on. So from meeting a new colleague and evaluating their handshake, you know, we meet people and we touch naturally by shaking their hands, giving a friend a long hug when we haven't seen them in a while. It is one of the fundamental ways we have all learned to relate to, is it not? To one another. So to take it away is a very big intervention, says Helena Waslin. And was it taken away? Of course it was. It was taken away from us. So even if you don't consider yourself to be a tactile person, you know, they call it touchy-feely person, touch is embedded in the social structure of our lives. So look at that beautiful hug. You know, it looks like the mother with the daughter or grandmother, you know, whoever they are. Dopamine, it is the pleasure hormone that makes an individual feel good. Serotonin, it is the antidepressant hormone. Did you hear that? Antidepressant hormone that elevates mood, controls anxiety, and reduces feelings of loneliness. Oxytocin, it is the love hormone that relieves stress and boosts heart health. You wouldn't believe that so much comes from a hug. It also helps in losing weight, lowers blood pressure, fights diseases, increases libido, reduces stress, and gives us a feeling of comfort. So even if it's a 10-second hug, helps the body fight infections, eases depression, and lessens tiredness. And a 20-second hug reduces the harmful effects of stress, relieves blood pressure, and ensures a healthy heart. Increasing the hug ratio results in reduced blood pressure, decreased cortisol, that's the stress hormone, improved healing, reduced cravings, and better immunity. So hugging a newborn child like the kangaroo mother increases the baby's weight and improves its overall development. So hugs can change negative moods by helping the body and the brain. According to the research, a hug may make an individual feel happy by reducing feelings of loneliness and the harmful physical effects of stress. Hugs can change negative moods by helping the body and brain and boosting these feel-good hormones. You know, if you've fallen out with someone or you've gotten into an argument and then you're trying to come together and apologize, and then says, come on, let's hug it out. You know, that's what people do, isn't it? They hug it out and it makes them feel good. So hugs in the Bible, of course we've got hugs in the Bible. You know, the embrace, do we not? And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And that's Genesis 33:4. And now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them, and he embraced them. So you can see that embraces in the Bible. Embraces in the Bible. Hugging is in the Bible. It is a God-given gift. It is something that shows our affection one to another. So here you see a hand, you see hand on top of hand. And do you know that hands, if you clasp somebody's hand, if you rest your hand on top of someone else's hand, it gives reassurance. And I know that they did a study, and there were ambulance drivers. So when ambulance drivers picked up people who are in distress, not well, emergency services, the one thing that all of them said is when they hold that person's hand or when they place their hand on top of that person, immediately they start to get, become calm and they feel reassured. Hands provides a sense of security, according to Professor Cohen. Humans are adapted to each other, not unlike the way that salamanders are adapted to cool, dark, damp environments. We are each other's habitat. Holding hands creates a sense of grounding and reassurance that we belong in this human-to-human habitat. When we feel unsure, it provides immediate feedback that we are accepted and that we belong. It decreases stress. Comforting physical touch can immediately reduce stress. Studies have found when people in stressful situations held their partner's hand, their heart rate and their blood pressure were lowered. Their cortisol level was also significantly reduced. Too much cortisol in the blood is poisonous. Reaching for a loved one's hand is a natural reaction when you're anxious, and doing so calms you down, absolutely. It boosts oxytocin. Holding hands also makes you feel good. Physical touch with a partner, like cuddling, hugging, and hand-holding, triggers the release of oxytocin. Oxytocin is often called the love hormone because it is released during an orgasm. Hand-holding offers a smaller release of the hormone and can help strengthen feelings of closeness and connection outside the bedroom. It strengthens your bond. Oxytocin is associated with feelings of empathy, compassion, and trust. When we, certainly for me, when we see clients, and even at Manor House when we have health guests, we know the importance of putting our hands on someone or just touching them and then praying with them and for them before we start a treatment. It is so important to do that. And the reason why I say that, number one, you always see them when you say, is it okay for me to pray? And as soon as you say that and you put your hand on top of their hand, you can see their shoulders just shrink down. There's something about the human touch that is powerful that God has given us, and it calms them down immediately. And if they're emotional, even if they seem pent up, and as soon as you put your hand on theirs, They may even start crying. You know, what is that? You know, the emotions, they just start to release. So touching, holding someone's hand has more power than you actually think. And there was a lot of hands-on in the Bible. Holding hands with your partner strengthens correction and encourages the couples to communicate. It is so important. And let me continue here. Let me continue. One of the most basic and universal forms of affection is the act of holding hands. In fact, University of Virginia psychology professor James Cohen has dedicated a whole college class to exploring why we do it. He says that humans hold hands for many reasons, but chief among them is the sense of security we get when we are holding someone else's hand, a sense that we are not alone and that we belong. And that is what I liked so much about last week, is because you saw people coming out, communicating with one another, shaking one another's hand, hugging one another. It is so vitally important. And I know for many of you, you may be at home. You may be at home for various reasons. And you're saying you're never going back to church. But the church is or should be the pillar of the community, somewhere where we can communicate and somewhere where you do get that hug or the handshake. Although, unfortunately, and I'll go into that shortly, you know, some people are so afraid to hug. Some people are so afraid to shake hands. What is that all about? You know, what is that all about? Your body, you need that sense of security, that sense of emotional support. You need that contact with somebody else who can hold your hand tight and shake it and ask how you're doing. You need it. And for us to stay so far away from what God has given us as a natural communication method. Remember, the babies, they're not taught how to touch, but they know how to do that. You know, so we must not take that away. And without touch, I was going to mention it later on in my presentation, but without touch, how can we minister to other people without touching them? How can we deliver services without touching them? It's an impossibility. It's an impossibility. Let's move on. So studies using PET position, which is position emission tomography scans, have found that the brain quiets in response to stress when a person's hand is held. And that is why I mentioned it. You know, the ambulance drivers, you know, the technicians, the ambulance technicians, first responders, they have all said that they've noticed that as soon as they rest their hand on top of someone else's hand, then all of a sudden they calm down and their blood pressure lowers. Why? Because they know someone is there. They feel as if they're being attended to. The effect is greatest when the hand being held is that of a loved one, but it still works even if it's a stranger. It still works even if it's a stranger. And I know that when I've trained, you know, trained managers in coaching and mentoring, and, you know, the question is asked, what do you do if you are managing a member of staff and then you are speaking to them, say like in a one-to-one situation, it could be a yearly review, etc. And then they burst out crying. They burst out crying. What do you do? How do you handle that? Because remember, when someone is crying, do we just sit there and watch them cry and just leave them alone? No, there is absolutely nothing wrong. And I said, the only way you can do it nowadays is between the wrist and the elbow. The wrist and the elbow is where you can just, you know, just a brief touch on their forearm just to calm them down. And immediately when you do that, they start to calm down, and you leave them until they recover, and then you can talk to them. It's so important. And I just cannot stress enough the importance of touch. I cannot express it. And obviously I'm saying touching in an appropriate manner, because unfortunately the enemy of our souls has made so many things that God has given us into something so, you know, warped is all I can say. But actually it's healing. It is absolutely healing. There's an electrification that happens when two people hold hands. How are you doing? You know, good to see you. You know, hug, good to see you. That embrace. There's something so powerful about that. And it also strengthens them. It strengthens their immune system, whether you know it or not. So this gentleman, Harlow's monkey experiments, and I don't know if any of you know about this man, but in 1965 he conducted an experiment. Let me bring the next one, which was the total social isolation in monkeys. Total social isolation in monkeys. And what he wanted to do, he wanted to experiment and find out what would it be like if we separated the monkeys from their so-called mothers. What would happen to them? What would happen if we separate these primates? What would happen? So Harlow's monkey experiments are perhaps the most famous example of research pointing at the primacy of the need for touch. In a series of experiments, Harlow created inanimate surrogate mothers for baby monkeys made from wire and wool. Makes you think, well, why would anybody want to do that anyway? Just leave the monkeys to live in the wild and do what they know best. You know, you just can't imagine someone taking monkeys from where they know and then putting them into cages, which unfortunately we do have. We've got zoos, have we not? And labs, just to experiment to see what is it going to be like if we distance them socially. So each infant became attached to its particular mother, recognizing its unique face and preferring it above others. Next, Harlow presented the infants with a soft, cuddly clothed mother, as well as a wire mother located in two separate but attached chambers. Only the wire mother held a bottle with food. Harlow found that the monkeys spent far more time next snuggled against the cloth mother than they spent with the wire mother, even though the wire mother was the one with the food. Food may be necessary for survival, but touch is what sustains us. Later in his career, Harlow carried out perhaps his most controversial study by cultivating infant monkeys, wait for it, in isolation chambers for up to 24 months. So he cultivated infant monkeys in isolation chambers for up to 24 months. Why on earth would he do that? The infant monkeys emerged, listen to this, the infant monkeys emerged from isolation deeply disturbed, a finding of which many credit as having started the animal rights movement. Since Harlow's experiments, research has uncovered an astonishing number of poor health outcomes that result when we are deprived of touch. The correlation between anxiety, depression, and stress and touch is large and inversely related. It has been found that touch calms our nervous center and slows down our heartbeat. Human touch also lowers blood pressure as well as cortisol, our stress hormone. It also triggers the release of oxytocin, a hormone known for promoting emotional bonding to others. Listen to that. Listen to that. So here you have the monkey there with the cloth mother, not the food. And it showed, this experiment showed that the monkeys were more inclined to cling to the mother without food because why? They're touching, even though the wire mother had the food. There's something to say about what is actually taking place today. You know, it's such a shame, isn't it? You know, we've come out of the, well, they say we've come out of this pandemic. We've come out of this pandemic. All the restrictions have been lifted. And can you believe it? It's almost as if we were in one of these labs by Harlow. And why is that? Because we're afraid, we shrink up if someone's coming close to us. Remember, restrictions have been lifted. And don't get me wrong, if you are suffering from, you know, the symptoms, then of course you have to use whatever you use to make sure it's not spread. But what I am saying is that for those who are healthy, you've come out of it quite fine. Why do you shrink if someone is coming towards you to shake your hand? And why do you shrink if somebody wants to hug? And even though I visited, one of the churches, and it saddened me. I have to say it saddened me, especially when you know the people who are standing in front of you. And what saddened me was the fact that, of course, they got the mask on and they're standing afar off, and it's like, hi, Joan, and you can see the eye smiling, hi. And it's like, I'm over here and it's nice to see you, but you stay over there, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Even not to be able to shake their hand. And I remember going up to someone and they saw me and I looked at them and I went, how are you doing? And they were pleasantly surprised, and we hugged, and it was wonderful. I can't understand it. Were we one of Harlow's monkeys? I hope not, because we should remember that the God-given gift of touch belongs to us and no one else, not the enemy of our souls. And it's almost as if we have to learn again to touch, to connect, to communicate. What is going on here? What's going on here? So here you see some children. You see some children here. Some of them are, I think it looks like cribs or hospital bed, and you see this young boy. Now, you're not going to believe this, but there was a social experiment in Romania. And as late as 1990s. Let's see what was happening here. Right. Communist Romanian dictator Nicolae Ceausescu, in a pathological program to raise the birth rate through science, established numerous orphanages. When the world was able to see these orphans after his overthrow, they were shocked to see severe underdevelopment in their social skills and values. The commonality for all these orphans was a lack of human physical touch, particularly of the loving kind. So when physical contact becomes limited, or in some cases eliminated, people can develop a condition called touch starvation or touch deprivation. I bet most of you watching didn't realize that this actually exists, but it does. A now famous study examined the sensory deprivation of children in understaffed orphanages in Romania. The touch-deprived children, the authors found, had strikingly lower cortisol and growth development levels for their age group. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, increases sugars in the bloodstream, enhances your brain's use of glucose, and increases the availability of substances that repair tissues. Cortisol also curbs functions that would be non-essential or harmful in a fight or flight situation. So here you have some children in the orphanages. They were uncovered in the 1990s, and I believe that there were many people in Europe who adopted many of these Romanian children, and some of them who grew up to become adults are still scarred by that incident, In fact, they were saying some of these children would be walking around and they actually thought, and many of them naked, and they actually thought that they were like 5 or 6 years old, but they were teenagers because their growth was stunted by the fact, what did they say? By touch starvation or touch deprivation. Premature babies, when premature babies are born very, very early, The best way to get them to grow is to massage them. So there was a study, and nurses found that when they massage the babies, the outcome was far better than when babies were propped up in the corner of a crib. And what some of them found when they visited these orphanages, they'd find babies literally propped up against pillows with a bottle. No one's holding them at all. And of course, they're not breastfed. And these children suffered. Nobody to hold them, nobody to hug them. And as I'm going through this presentation, I am praying that we see the necessity of making sure we hug our family members. We hold our family members' hands. And those of us who are married, you hold your partner's hand. You have the hugs. It's so vitally important for people within your family to know that they're loved and they're cared for and they are needed. And please, please, please do not be afraid of using that God-given gift of touch. It is so vitally important for us to even survive. So I talked about touch starvation. I've talked about touch starvation. Touch starvation increases stress, depression, and anxiety, triggering a cascade of negative physiological effects. This can increase heart rate, blood pressure, respiration. Remember, I'm talking about touch starvation. Muscle tension. How many of us have muscle tension? And can suppress the digestive system and the immune system, increasing the risk of infection. People who are stressed or depressed, perhaps because of a lack of touch, will have problems sleeping, Shah said. Every single medical disease, including heart attack, diabetes, hypertension, asthma, every single physical disease is altered if you are more anxious, more depressed, or if you have more mental health issues, he said. Long term, he added, going an extended period without positive physical touch can even lead to post-traumatic stress disorder. Too much cortisol over a prolonged period of time can lead to a condition called Cushing's syndrome, and this can be caused by a wide range of factors, such as a tumor that produces androcorticotropy hormone and therefore increases cortisol secretion. So look at this. Do we recognize that? Does anyone recognize that? Do we recognize that? So we had some sort of touch starvation taking place, did we not? We had some sort of touch starvation taking place, and it increased stress and depression, I'm sure. And then look at that. The body releases the hormone cortisol as a response to stress, activating the body's fight or flight response. And how many of us were touch starved or are still being touch starved? How many of us are touch starved? You know, when I look at this, I think about some of the news headlines that I'm sure that some of you will recognize. There was a young man who had a girlfriend, young teenagers had a girlfriend, and couldn't get to visit her during the lockdown period, couldn't get to visit her. And unfortunately, he took his own life. He couldn't bear not being with his girlfriend. A lot of young people took their lives. Why? Because they were touch starved, touch starvation. They weren't able to, especially some of them who, there were a small handful of them who went away to university, and they were afraid, and they didn't have, you know, people that they recognized. Their parents weren't around. Remember the time when many of them were not able to travel back to their home. This is serious as to what can happen when we're kind of like in a cocoon and we become afraid of one another. We become afraid of one another. You know, it's just sad. So let's continue. Let's just continue. So our skin is the largest organ in the human body, covering us from head to toe. So a 2018 study by scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin in Milwaukee found that skin communicates positive and negative touch stimuli to our sensory. Right, the outermost layer of our skin is called the epidermis and is predominantly made up of billions of keratinocyte cells. The keratinocytes release a chemical called adenosine triphosphate, which activates receptors on the sensory nerve to convey the sensation of touch to the brain. We are wired to our brain. When we hug or feel a friendly touch on our skin, our brain releases oxytocin. So when we are hugged or a friendly touch on our skin, our brain releases oxytocin, a neuropeptide involved in increasing positive, feel-good sensations of trust, emotional bonding, and social connection, while decreasing fear and anxiety. When someone is fearful, when a child is fearful, as soon as you hug them, oh, don't worry, it's okay, they respond, don't they? They respond. It decreases their fear. It decreases their anxiety. For this reason, oxytocin is affectionately known as the cuddle hormone. It's called the cuddle hormone. So, yes. So do you recognize this, everyone? Do you recognize this? Now, bearing in mind what I've just told about how receptive our skin is, and we respond to positive or negative, and it's the skin touch. Are you touching someone's skin through a pane of glass? Is it possible to do that? Is it possible to get the same response? Yes, you're seeing them, and for some, that was the only way of communicating. But that is not actually touching. That is not actually touching, is it? And of course, we've seen many of those types of pictures. So we live in an interesting time because we use technology as a communication tool most of the time. And physical contact has what? Has become rarer. Physical contact has become rarer. The world is shifting and it's changed. And of course, we're told that we're never going to go back to what was normal. You know, we are now in a new normal. But communication has taken over our time to hug and our time to hold hands, has it not? And this is what Pavel Goldstein mentioned. So if you look at this picture, do we recognize that? I'm sure most of us do. And Tiffany Fields, Dr. Tiffany Fields, she's done an amazing amount of work on the psychology of touch and how important touch is. She says, I think certainly kids today are much more touch deprived than they were before smartphones. So if children lacked hugs and cuddling up to their parents before smartphones, what's happening to them now? I'm hoping that we are finding the time to hug our children, to hold their hands, and to give them the attention they need. Now, it's interesting because Dr. Tiffany Fields, in one of her researches, she said they injected a cold germ into people who were in a study. And a cold germ, she means like the flu. And those who had more hugs had a better immune response to the cold virus. And then some studies show that if you get hugged by your partner before a stressful condition like giving a speech or doing a math problem, people do far more better. Performance is better if they've been hugged by a partner before the stress. We did one study where we had the elderly people massaging babies versus receiving massage. And we found that the effects were greater when they were given the massage. So when the elder people were giving the massage to the children, they benefited. And I think that goes to saying that massage therapists are also getting some kind of benefit from stimulating the pressure receptors in the hand and their elbows or whatever they're massaging with. So that was one study. There was another study in a restaurant in America. So they had some waitresses and waiters who would go up to the patrons and take their order, and then they would, when they delivered the food, they would just gently tap them on the shoulder and say, enjoy your meal, as opposed to some waiters and waitresses who went up to the patrons and just delivered the meal. And they found that there was a huge percentage increase in those patrons giving big tips that were touched by the waiter or waitress, just gently tapping them, says, enjoy your meal, than those who did not. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? So there's one question I'd like to ask you all now, and I'm hoping before I continue, because I'd like to hear what you're saying to this slide. Is the basic God-given human instinct of touch in danger? And I would like Sharon, Jonathan.
Yes, Joan.
What I'd like is to ask our audience, and I'd like, maybe a couple of people to answer this question for me. I want you to think about it, and I want you to answer this question for me. Given what I've just gone through so far, before I go on to my next section, is the basic God-given human instinct of touch in danger? Based on what we've been through, isolation, social distancing, people not being able to socialize the way they used to, etc., etc. I'd just like to know, because there are a couple of things that I'd like to draw your attention to that's coming, so to speak, as I say, in the pipeline. So is the basic God-given human instinct of touch in danger? Any thoughts?
So you should be able to unmute. Let me just double check.
Yes, you should be, Sharon.
Okay, so feel free to put your hand up and then we can take your response, or just unmute one at a time. Thank you, Lucille.
Hello. I see someone's raised their hand. Hello.
Hello.
Someone's raised their hand. Samantha, I can see Samantha. And I can see Lorraine. I'm seeing some hands. So who's going to go? Are they unmuted?
Can I just say that the human touch is in danger simply because people are afraid to hug each other because of the pandemic in case they catch something. So there's not much hugging going on like we used to. Even in church, people are afraid to hug.
I recognize that voice. And it's true. It's true, because like I said before, when I visited my home church, it saddened me that we become so caught up in what has been taking place that we're almost happy to forego something that is so basic but so necessary. And yes, I hear what you're saying, and it's interesting because even talking to some people last week that says they haven't been able to see their GP. There are some people that used to look forward to even once in a while going to their GP, sitting there, the GP's asking them how you're doing, etc., etc. They can't even have that. So human contact, I'm not sure what's going on, but the next couple of slides, I'm sorry to say, it's going to make you think. So thank you for that. And I think there are other hands that are
Samantha and Lorraine.
Yeah.
So hi Jane, thanks for your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if you asked this question maybe at the height of the pandemic, I would be inclined to say yes, that it was in danger. In my workplace setting, which is healthcare, there are a few individuals who we would always hug. And when we were told that we couldn't sit in the restroom together, that if we did, only 2 people could go in this room, and we we started to stop hugging, and you could see with the mask on the sadness in our eyes that we couldn't hug. Now in this year we are hugging and we're hugging for longer because it's making up for that time that we couldn't hug. But I have to be honest that I haven't really gone back to church, and I am slightly reluctant, I think, to hug people from church because I haven't seen them so long. Whereas the people I work with them every day for 12 plus hours.
Sure.
And so I feel comfortable. Sad to say that, really, but I do think that there is a risk of it being in danger. Yeah.
So Samantha, you know, when you said that you hug them for longer, how did it make you feel? You know,
I cried.
Yeah,
I cried.
Absolutely,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
cried.
Yes, because it's very warming. Hugging someone, it's almost like there's a connection, isn't there? Almost like some syncing
Definitely.
going on. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Samantha. I think next one's Lorraine.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Joan, for this, wonderful, informative presentation. And I'm just here thinking that the enemy of the soul, we fully recognize the importance, the therapeutic, the spiritual, the importance of that human touch. As I look through the scriptures, you'll see where that touch was important in Christ's ministry. The woman just touched the hem of his garment and she was made whole. But there was so much in examples in the scripture where only a touch made a difference. And I believe Satan recognized this, and so he planned way in advance to take this away from us. And if we don't exercise that faith, we're going to lose it, because that touch is so important.
Yes,
I mean, you can hug someone and you feel in that touch, you feel their body melt, as it were. You feel like the stress and whatever they're going through, just like it just melt away.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had that feeling where somebody's so tense, and you just feel that just melt. I have gone to massages as well, and when the therapist is massaging me, they say, "You're so tense."
Yeah.
And by the time that massage is finished, whatever they do, whatever they apply, whatever it is, you feel so much more relaxed. So the importance of it, I believe, cannot be overemphasized. And if we're not careful, it can slip away. And that is what breeds depression, breeds suicidal thoughts and actions. The implication is so wide. So you're very much true. And this presentation is extremely timely, because I don't believe the enemy is going to back off. Something else greater is coming, and we have got to be resilient. We've got to be faithful and recognize the importance of reaching out to someone with that touch.
Absolutely. And Lorraine, as you said that, I remember when we saw a lot of the news reports of the elderly that were in the nursing homes on their own. Some of the staff, God bless them, there were some that put tents out in the car park and stayed and remained with them, and then there were others that were so short of staff. And the elderly, all they longed for was the touch, the holding of the hands of their loved ones who were not able to go and see them. And then they had to depend on the bare minimum of hand holding from the people that were taking care of them. There's something powerful in touch, and many of them sadly lost their lives. And what about those that were in the hospital? And they no family members could visit them at all, and the staff were very, very busy, etc. It's just one of these things, like, Lord have mercy, something that is so instinctive and natural is being taken away. And we know that, yes, you have to quarantine, etc. You have to abide by that, but then there are people who are still caught up in that, and it's almost if they refuse to let go. They're caught up in that, and they continue to be caught up in it, and they just don't want nothing to do with anybody anymore, which saddens me. Yes, Sharon, I think I saw it. Was it your hand, Sharon, and then somebody else's?
Yes, sorry, not wanting to prolong this, because I really want to hear where you go next. However, when you put that image of the young boy and his granddad, and they were like supposedly touching each other through a pane of glass, images like that, or even an experience like that, you may have tried this as yourself, with kids, you kind of play along. the side of a glass window, it kind of confuses the brain because you have an expectation that you're going to feel, even though you know that the glass is there and you're not going to feel them, but you still, the brain is still expecting some kind of touch. And when you feel that cold glass, and it's like, but we're touching each other, our hands are close together, but then there's the cold glass. It confuses the brain, and it's quite sad. It's like an anticlimax, and then poof, you've hit against that cold glass. It's just not right. And what frightens me, because you said, is the God-given human instinct of touch in danger? What frightens me is that for some, this is the new normal. And I don't like that idea at all. Like you said, it's the devil's plan. Lorraine was saying
it is, and from a spiritual and physical point of view. So, we know that inspiration tells us that 9/10 of diseases begin in the mind, and not that they're making it up. It's just that it's all about emotions and holding on to anger and depression, etc. And if you're not physically touched, if you're not getting in contact with other people, I mean, God, what did God do? God created Adam, and then he says it is not good for man to be alone, and that's what he said. And so he created Eve. So when you think of all of this, of course people are going to feel more sick, not well. I've known instances where one of my colleagues was saying they massaged someone and they just broke down crying and sobbing, and there are times when some people say, oh, it's been a long time since someone cared for me this way or touched me. It's so sad. What did people crave more of? I'm coming to the next person with their hand up. What did people crave more during this time? They craved to be touched. So there was no massage parlors open. The spas were closed. Where people could make contact and hug one another, the pubs were closed. Where children could get a release and go to school, and maybe they can hug their friends, or they can chat, they can hold hands, that was taken away. So if you think of all of that, when it's taken away, what do people do? And it's not been talked about because it's interesting. I was trying to research the amount of people who took their own lives during the pandemic, and I couldn't find it, which was strange. I just found like they were just talking about it, but no proper data. I was looking for the data. If anybody could find it, that's wonderful, but I just couldn't find it. But a lot of them did. Why? Because it says, I can't bear to be on my own. Some of them who had to be on their own, families, because they were, what do you call it? They were protected. What is the word? When they've got a condition, when their immune system
shielding,
they were shielding. And some people say, I can't bear it anymore. I had somebody that one of my training colleagues says that her daughter was supposed to come over from Germany, and then it didn't happen, and it absolutely devastated her because it was supposed to be from Christmas. I mean, people don't realize how important it is, and that's why we should cherish our families and our friends and loved ones. But people are still trapped. They're like Harlow's monkey. I'm telling you, they're like Harlow's monkey. They are trapped. They are trapped, almost as if they're in a laboratory somewhere. So who's the next person, please, Sharon?
Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi. Just to add to what the other ladies have said, I think about the touching and hugging. I'm a very tactile person. So anytime I see somebody, I want to hug them, or I do hug them. Yeah. And during that, height of the pandemic and that, sometimes I forgot. And we go to hug someone, and then you could see it in their face, like, what the heck? And you're like, you think, oh gosh, I can't hug this person anymore because their body language told you something.
Yes, they freeze up like that.
Freeze up like, don't you dare come in my space, So there was just that space, that divide between yourself and the person very long, you know what I'm saying? And I was just, I didn't like it because, like I said, I'm a very tactile person. I like hugging, and it's a very warm embrace to hug somebody. It is. It's a warming. Doesn't matter if you've seen them yesterday or last year or just to hug somebody.
Absolutely.
We certainly do need that. But like I say, and you've said as well that people are still in that mindset. They don't want to still hug, and they don't want to still touch many times. Do you know what I'm saying? So you're having to respect people.
You have to respect them.
yeah.
I know, Cindy. You're right.
Mm.
It's interesting that I went to the post office, and the post office has those big freezers. And so as I was coming away from the counter, restrictions have been relaxed, right? So no more mask wearing and all that. And to my surprise, I wasn't wearing a mask, and I was trying to walk one way, and a lady, she chose to wear a mask. She nearly fell into the freezer trying to avoid me.
Would you?
What is that all about?
Yeah.
And so it's changed people's mindsets to a point that I would never imagine. You know, I wanted to say, you nearly fell into the freezer, love. Are you all right? But I didn't. I held myself. I thought that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Because people their mindset has shifted to a point where it's not normal anymore to walk past someone and smile, or to shake someone's hand when you go to church, especially if you haven't seen them, or to hug someone and says, how are you doing? It's so good to see you. It's not normal. So it's almost as if the bad has become the good and the good has become the bad. And people's mindsets have become trapped. Now, I know this is, streaming live on YouTube, so I'm not saying don't wear masks. If you choose to do that, that's fine. But what I'm noticing is that it's almost as if, okay, boom, lockdown, boom, restrictions. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go there, you can't go here. And then, oh, it's okay, you can go ahead. And the people are like, what's going on here? Oh, well, maybe I'm still going to restrict myself. And maybe I'm still going to stop myself from going here and I'm going there. You know, it's the mindset has shifted. And that is why I'm asking the question, is it in danger? So thank you so much, Cindy. Sharon and Jonathan, are there any more? And I'm going to move on.
Yeah, that's
no,
fine.
you can move on.
Okay, so listen to this. Hold on to your seats, right? Hold on to your seats. So is the basic God-given human instinct of touch in danger? So, what do you see here? It's a robot, isn't it? And this robot is in a nursing home. This robot is in a nursing home. Are you seeing things? Are you seeing things? No, you're not. This is actually true. This is actually true. And I know that in schools in London, and I don't know if it actually went to a school near you, but in schools in London, they were trialing, certainly at one school, trialing robots in the classroom to interact with the children. And of course, the children are giggling and they're laughing and they find it ever so funny, oh, a robot, and robot's talking to me and all of that. And you see this lady's bursting out laughing, you see the smiles on people's faces. That is actually true. There are robots that are being trialed in classrooms and in nursing homes across the country. But it's not like it's out there. Well, it is out there in some cases if you watch certain documentaries, but that's what it is. Okay, now look at this. So, can I move that? Let me just see. Robots that can hold simple conversations and learn people's interests are to be deployed in some UK care homes after an international trial found they boosted mental health and reduced loneliness. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that, people? Listen to me very, very carefully. Why is that? Why is that? Is it because we're losing contact with people? We're losing contact with our loved ones? We have reduced almost to zero the most basic instinct. The wheeled robots, called Pepper, move independently and gesture with robotic arms and hands, and are designed to be culturally competent, a robot, which means that after some initial programming, they learn about the interests and backgrounds of care home residents. Now, why can't we learn about the interests and backgrounds of people? Have we stopped talking to people in care? This allows them to initiate rudimentary conversations, play residents' favorite music, teach them languages, and offer practical help, including telemedicine reminders. That now, what I've just mentioned there are normally done by humans. Am I right or wrong? But they are training robots to be able to do this. So, and here it is from the Daily Telegraph. And the date is interesting, isn't it? September 2020. The first lockdown was March 2020. Anyway, robots to be used in UK care homes to help reduce loneliness. Mercy! What's happening here? What's happening here? What's happening here? To help reduce loneliness. Machines can hold simple conversations and have been found to improve mental health. I thought that was the job of people, talking to people, of people interacting with people, of people holding other people's hands. You know, that's what I thought, of people giving people hugs. I used to work in a nursing center in America many years ago, and I remember we looked after the elderly residents, and it was just so open, chatting with them, laughing with them, you know, hugging them, holding their hands. They so loved it. So what has happened now in 2020? We're now in 2022, and this was September 2020 when this came out in the Daily Telegraph, which was what? 6 months. 6 months after the first ever lockdown. Very interesting, isn't it? Am I right? 2020. Yes, it was 2020, the first ever lockdown. So, of course, this must have been in the pipeline already. But how is it that we have come to a time when God has given us the gift of touch and of healing? And that is why you say when you hold someone's hands, you could actually say it's healing because it lowers their blood pressure, reduces depression, reduces anxiety. It stops those poisonous hormones from being released into the bloodstream. But how could we have gotten to a point now where we are trialing robots to take the place of humans in care? Humans in care. It just makes you start to think, doesn't it? And that's why I asked the question, because there are so many distractions around us, but this is what is taking place. And what do we say? Well, we can't let it take place. Well, actually, it's taking place already. It's taking place already. It's being trialed. And there are some countries who are using it. And it's, oh, look at that. How funny. I grew up in the age of Star Trek, Space 1999, Lost in Space. So many of these programs, you know, Telebaby, you know, in my generation. And to think that you can actually now have a robot in your living room, or you can have a robot in a nursing home. And actually it's been trialed in surgeons. Surgeons are now using robotic arms, etc. You know, so you're not really touching the person with hands anymore. It's all, you know, all of these things are taking place right around us. And it just starts, it makes you scratch your head and say, what on earth is going on? So another thing, telemedicine. I'm sure some of you know what that is. It's remote technology. It's becoming an integral part of modern medicine. Telehealth services primarily occur between patient and physician, or patient and healthcare provider, including the transmission of diagnoses, exchange in health education, monitoring medical conditions, and providing health advice. Telecommunication methods include using electrical devices such as phones, web cameras, video conferencing systems, and the internet. And beyond virtual consultations, telehealth also encompasses telemonitoring, telemedicine, smart sensors, remote patient monitoring, teletherapy, and remote diagnostics. We anticipate providers will be savvy about using telehealth to reach at-risk populations beyond 2022. Telehealth can extend access to those not only living in rural areas, but seniors and low-income and high-risk individuals, groups that are more likely to have chronic health conditions and be in the top spending tiers for healthcare expenditures. In a nutshell, those who put pressure on the health system, very expensive. How can we look after them from a distance? No more talking face to face, holding their hands, how you doing, putting a physical cuff on their arm and find out how the blood pressure is, taking a pulse, how, you know, to see how their pulse is, and putting on a band. All of these things, you're going to have sensors on the body. I think you've seen them advertised now. You can have sensors that tells you what your blood sugar is. You just put it on the arm. There are so many things out there. So let's look at this. So telemedicine. See this lady, she's got an arm in her hand on her neck, and she's looking at a computer, and she's talking to a doctor via the computer. So this is why I'm asking you, do you think that the basic instinct of touch is in danger? God touches our life. Jesus Christ touched lives when he was on earth. You know, you cannot do ministering. How can you minister to people if you're not in their presence and you're not touching them to give them that calmness, you know, that electricity, that natural emotion that comes with caring for someone? And then look at this guy. That's a massage. That is a massage tool. And I know some people use it for various reasons, but are you getting the sensories from the skin? Are you getting that skin to skin contact that is needed? Because it's the skin to skin contact that is absolutely important. It is the skin to skin contact. I would say that's a tiny little robot there. So you're using something to, massage your body, to aggravate the blood under the skin, get the circulation going. But that is false, because it's this that creates the warmth and the friction that is needed. Okay, so this is why I'm saying we are in danger of not touching or contacting one another face to face in human form in time to come. And that is not to say I'm saying something that is kind of aloof and trying to upset anyone. No, I'm just saying, watch what is happening, watch the behaviors, and watch what is taking place. It's going to become extinct at some point. It will become extinct because we are so used to using things that are artificial. Let's put it that way, artificial. A lot of artificial stuff is coming. You've got the metaverse, I think that's what they call it, where you can create a cartoon image of a friend. So you put these things on and you can create a cartoon image of a friend, and then you can have a conversation with them and they're actually like a real person. What on earth is that? Why would we need to do that? And this is why I'm saying the necessity of touch, because that is where the power comes from. That is where the power comes from. So the practice of using touch as a healing method derives from customs and techniques rooted in ancient history. You know, I would go as far as to say the Bible. Civilizations in the East and West found that natural healing and massage could heal injuries, relieve pain, and prevent and cure illnesses. What's more, it helped reduce stress and produce deep relaxation. Lorraine alluded to that when she says the masseuse says she felt tense, and by the time the masseuse finished with her, she was relaxed, reduced stress, and it can even induce sleep. Massage therapy began as a sacred system of natural healing. However, cultural shifts rendered it a disreputable form of indulgence for extensive periods of history. And during these turns, massages has experienced resurgence in modern times. And today, massage therapy stands as a highly respected career in holistic health practice across the world. And here's how massage has evolved into the relaxing and therapeutic practice it is today. Absolutely. I know for me, when I massage, I love to massage. And when I massage, I know how tense someone is when they, from the beginning, and how calm they are afterwards. You know, they've got pain in their neck, you know, pain in their back, and they feel tense, they feel uncomfortable, they can't sleep. It is the massage. And what it is, the skin to skin contact. It is the touch that God has given us. It is the touch that God has given us with so many senses in our skin. And that is what does it. It has to be that. It cannot be a robot, and it cannot be a robotic arm or anything like that. It has to be skin to skin contact as God gave us, So I'm coming to a close. So here you have a gentleman, and he's lying down, ready to get his massage. And there's 9 body systems. So of the 9 body systems, you have the endocrine system, the cardiovascular system, the muscular system, the nervous system, etc. For time, I'm going to just go quickly through that. But these are the systems, and the lymphatic system. These are the systems that are benefited from massage therapy. And it's not a plug or anything like that. What I'm saying is the skin to skin contacts, just like the disciples when they were healing in the Bible, even Christ, it was always touch. It was praying and then laying on hands, praying and laying on hands. That is what it was. So what happens when you have a massage? It's stimulating pressure receptors and vagal activity increases. And the vagus is one of the 12 cranial nerves, and it has a lot of branches all over the body, from the gastrointestinal system and the heart to our vocal cords and so forth. And this is what happens when you receive a massage. Research shows that one of the most effective ways to benefit from the therapeutic benefits of touch is through massage. Massage therapy has been shown to ease depression, increase attentiveness, and enhance immune function. And I would even go as far as saying, when you hug someone, it's the same thing. If they're tense, their shoulders start to relax. And when you shake someone's hand and you give them a mighty good morning, or good evening, or good afternoon, and when you do that and you clasp their hands, and it's like that, and straight away there's a connection, and you feel confident, and you feel as if, yes, this person, I'm having a conversation with them, but everyone is calm. If they were even tense, emotionally depressed and anxious, it's that hug that makes a difference. I'm not sending you all out there and saying go back to church or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, let us be very, very mindful as to the direction of travel, so that we do not get caught up in an artificial existence, an artificial separatist existence. Let's remember, if we're medical missionaries, that is the only way we can deliver the closing work, is through medical missionary, and that is human contact with someone who needs help, to touch them. I cannot do anything afar off. You kneel down, you give them a foot spa, you give them a foot bath, you put a poultice on their skin. It's that touch that makes a difference. Touching their hands, holding their hands, praying with them before you start the therapy. That is what makes a difference. I remember saying to this lady many months ago, I went to see a retired nurse from the NHS, and she developed a condition. And I remember talking to her, and everything was fine. And then as soon as I said, would you like me to pray with you? No, sorry. What I did, I put my hand on hers, and I held her hand, and I says, I would like to pray with you. Would you mind? And she says, no. And then she put her hand on top of she put her other hand on top of my hand. That's it. So my hand was sandwiched between the two of her hands. And then tears came to her eyes. And I says, what do you want? And she says, I just want to be healed. I just want to be healed. And she broke down. Do you know what I mean? There is something about touch. There is something about touch. Let us not forget that. There is something about touch. So I'm just going to leave you with these 2 Bible verses. And when he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground, that is Jesus, and made clay of the spittle. And he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay. Christ could only have done that if he touched the man. He didn't do it through a telesystem, and he certainly did not use a robotic arm to do it. It was his hand. There is power in touch. There is power in touch, and there's power in embrace. And the last one here, Paul and the healing of Publius's father. And it happened that the father of Publius was lying in bed afflicted with recurrent fever and dysentery. And Paul went in to see him. And after he had prayed, he said, after he had prayed, he then laid his hands on him and healed him. And that's from Acts 28, verse 8. And that is the end of my presentation. Sharon and Jonathan, thank you all for listening. It was something I'm passionate about in terms of human contact and touch. There's just no other way we can live. I just don't know how people can do it. I can't. And like Cindy said, I'm tactile. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Sister Jones. Thank you. I think you deserve a drink of water now.
I've got it here.
Okay, great stuff. You guzzle away, and I'll have a look at some of the questions in the chat. But before I go to the questions in the chat, can I have the advantage? No, I'll let one of the questions go. But I do definitely have one here, which you never know, somebody else might come up with it anyway.
Yeah. Okay,
so just looking at the comments, I'd say there's a lot of comments, not necessarily as many questions, but there's a lot of comments in the chat. Yeah. Let's go to the top here. Right, yeah, a lot of comments, and they are worth mentioning, definitely worth mentioning. So that for those of you who are on Zoom that are unable to see, and I think there's 21 on YouTube. Sorry, those of you on YouTube, about 21 viewers on YouTube live at the moment. So thanks for stopping with us.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so we have mentally we are still restricted. It will take time, I guess. That was one comment.
Yes. Yes, that's the danger. That's the danger.
Reminds me of a singer from back in the days, Mr. Marley, who said, "Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. We need to emancipate ourselves from locked-in syndrome or locked-in slavery or whatever."
Yeah, don't put yourself in a cage. Don't do it in a laboratory.
That's right. Excellent presentation. Someone says Audrey says the God-given institute is in danger due to gadgets and other problems.
Yes,
definitely.
We're communicating far less. And yes, I'm on Zoom and we can reach so many people, but actually when it comes to making contact with people, the majority of our time has to be that. I know that a pastor said that he went to see someone and because he hadn't seen them for so long, and then he said to them, "So when you're coming back out to church?" And the person says, I'm going to another church now. It's online. That's my church.
Yeah.
But is it? Try to get out there. It's so easy to do it, but really we need that human contact. And last week, as Joan said, we saw so many humans, and it was so nice to see. Yeah, we saw so many humans, and it was so nice and interacting, chatting with them. It's absolutely beautiful. And some of the people felt, some of them were elderly. It was so nice for them to come out and see other people.
Yeah, and that kind of ties in with the comment that Cynthia put on here. She said it's said that due to the post office closures, because some of them were closed, it's had a huge effect on the elderly due to them not being able to have to communicate with people, like when they go to pick up their pension or whatever it is that they may go to pick up. They're not getting that, and the loneliness is very, very damaging.
It's a killer.
It is.
People have died through loneliness. And that's
yeah.
They have. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the substitute was an increased use of social media, gadgets, for example, and that's plans of the devil just working out perfectly.
And people have made some, serious decisions through media or not decisions because of the onslaught of media. They say some the elderly, the TV was their friend.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody could go and visit them. Or you remember that slogan, when it was the first lockdown, stay away from mummy. You remember that?
No.
A speech, yeah.
I didn't.
Stay away from mummy.
To be honest, I didn't
Stay
really
away
listen.
from grandma, I think it was.
Yeah, or stay away from whatever it was.
To be honest, I didn't really listen to all
Or
of
the
them.
grandparents.
Yeah, it was terrible, absolutely, but it didn't stop me. Anyway, go on.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, some people are trying to get back to what should be normal, but they're feeling that they're restricted. It's saying it's like fleas in a jar with a lid on, and they restrict their jump into the lid level. Once the lid is removed, they only jump to the level of the lid. So it's like hi, you know,
and
hands are back.
And there was another study experiment that was done. Oh God, unfortunately, I have to say the world is definitely quite evil at times, and there's been many studies and many experiments. And you're right, if you are closed in long enough, you will only go up to where, up to a certain border, and you don't cross it. But in your mind, you've convinced yourself that actually this is the way it's got to be.
And if you see anybody else being brave enough to step out, you almost feel like you need to call the police.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you take off whatever they've taken off.
It's going to take a while. Someone said it's going to take a while, but unfortunately there's been psychological damage, and I've seen it. I'm telling you, people that I have, I've known for a very long time, and going to the church, it saddened me. Really, it absolutely saddened me. Just all I can see is their eyes. Hi, Sister Joan.
So when you put the image of the robots, the chat messages seem to go up a bit then as well. One person said,
didn't anybody know that? With
7.9 billion people in the world, this is absurd, the individual said, having the robots to become robo-nurse.
But unfortunately it's what's happening.
Yeah.
It's what's in the pipeline, and there's actually nothing you can do about it. There really isn't, except you continue being human.
Yeah, you continue to be human. Veronica said, isolate people. This is what it's doing with the robots, isolating people so that they resort to media. It's messaging and EMFs. I'm not sure, Veronica, what did you mean by EMFs?
Electronic magnetic frequency, something. Is that it?
Okay.
Electronic magnetic frequency, I think it is. Veronica, I'm going to put it in the chat.
Still here?
Miss V, if she's still here. But yes, yes.
Okay.
It's almost as if.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yes. Hey, Sister V. Yes.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes, exactly. He taught us on that.
Ah, you see, it's I don't even know what to say. It's here, but it's not out there. It's out there and it's here, but it's not pushed because they know a lot of people will not want it. And I think that's what it is, because why would you want to do that? Why would you want to, I don't know, have something that isn't even human, and they don't even have the emotion of a human being?
It seems comical, but individuals will start to warm to the idea if that's all they've got, which is really, because you saw the elderly folk laughing in the care home, but then you also saw the other elderly senior man, like really engaging with the robot, like, this is my best mate. I grew up with him, Dan. We used to go down and play football.
And again, what does that say about society?
We can adapt.
If they want that and they find that that's normal, it means that, for those of us who are children of God, it will make it that much harder to convince them that we can give you and offer you more than that robot. But that robot might be offering a whole, you know what I'm saying? It's just one of these things that you have to kind of think, Lord, when you said that it's really going to be tough times, it's really going to be tough times.
Yeah.
When you can compete, when you have to compete with something like that.
Someone mentioned in the UK, people find it easier to speak to their dogs than to other humans. And, that's that could be what, even before social isolation, now You know, people are frightened to, like you said, the woman that almost fell in the freezer.
That shocked me.
I've seen people where you're going for a walk in the countryside, and you're in the countryside, you're in a big park, and they've got a mask on, and you're thinking, but you're in the park.
That shocked me.
Nobody around you.
When I went back to the car, I says, "Oh, you'll never guess what happened. I can't believe." In fact, I was stunned by it. I thought, why would she even? She nearly literally fell into the freezer. I mean, it was like.
I've seen people walk into the road and there's cars coming and they're just trying to avoid you because you're going in the opposite direction. It's like, guys, it's not worth it.
I'm laughing, but it's serious.
Yeah. Okay, let me just see. And I'm sure there'll be some people that wish to unmute. Let's just see. People of touch.
Yeah, let's have a discussion about it, because to be honest with you, you know, I'm in the yes, I do massages, and we deliver therapies even at Manor House. And to think, you know, and that is what it is. It's hands-on, it's touching. And we have seen, you know, the small miracles that take place when people, you know, have someone tending to them and caring for them and giving them a bath and, you know, massaging them and putting a poultice on them and, you know, giving them a herb. All of those things have to be done physically. Do you know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people miss, because the first things on people's lists when lockdown restrictions were lifted, I'm going to go to the hairdressers, I'm going to go to the barbers, because of course you're getting touched, you're getting that small little Indian head massage, and I'm going to get a massage. Because
I actually did have a massage once the lockdown got lifted.
Yeah, because people want to be touched. They want to be, you know, they want to get rid of all that tension. They wanted to go back to the human touch.
That kind of brings me onto, you know, you showed that thing with the self-massaging unit device. I mean, we've got one of those in this house. And the thing is, when you switch them on, it just comes on. There's no sort of like gentle, and I'm sure you can get some, like probably you pay a bit more for them, that will gently work its way on. But when you got them on and they're like, oh, they just like shock you, you know, and that's not supposed to be the effect it's having.
No.
And then you switch on, you get that, and then you got to relax. But it doesn't, like, if it's a human person, you'd see the individual's response. You'd know that you need to go in gently on them. And then when they say, yeah, okay, that's fine. They're like, oh no, that's a bit too much. And you ease off. But how do you work with it if you've got a client who's uncomfortable with touch? How do you actually treat them? Because I'm sure you must have come across some people that are like, oh no, you know.
When they say, oh, I'm ticklish. Yeah, you know, especially if you're massaging their feet to start with.
Oh, you're gonna massage people's feet?
I do. Okay. I do massage people's feet.
I'm not worried about your hands. I'm thinking about, because I'm ticklish. Ticklish. I'm very ticklish on my feet.
So people will say, oh, you know, I've never had a massage before. I'm a bit nervous. I'm a bit uncomfortable. No one's given me a massage before, and they're very shy and they're, you know, reluctant. And then it's a matter of talking to them and pray with them. When I've got them on the massage couch, I always start with the feet. And the reason I always start from, you know, unless I'm just giving them a plain back massage, but I always start with the feet. And the reason why, and that's another presentation, that's another time, because we have a lot of reflex points in our body. And it's one thing that people don't tend to understand much, but I start with their feet because it's the feet that starts to calm them. And I remember this lady says, no, her friend who booked her for a massage, because I went into her home when I used to go into people's homes. She says, you know something, if you can get that person to stay on that massage couch and enjoy it, I'll be shocked, because nobody can calm this person down. The person had MS. And so I talked to her, you know, prayed with her, and I started massaging her feet. And she's talking and she's talking and she's talking, almost as if it's one of those things where it's like nervous chit chat type of thing. And when you're massaging someone, you have to keep the discussion to a bare minimum. Otherwise, what's the point? So I'm massaging, started massage her feet, working her feet. And then I started to see her eyes close and then open up again. She'd say something else. And then, you know, and then by the time I had finished with her feet and moved, you know, calves, thigh, moved up to her arm and her hands, she was gone. Not that I killed her off, don't get me wrong. She was gone.
Sleeping.
She went to sleep.
Oh, praise God.
That is why massage is powerful.
So can somebody feel the benefits of massage even when
Nobody stayed awake. Nobody stayed awake. Nobody has stayed awake if I'm massaging them. Nobody, Sharon. Nobody. And I've
yeah, you've massaged me before, and
2017. By the way, the touch is so powerful. Last week, there were two people. I massaged three ladies, but on a chair, and all I did was their shoulders, and their neck, and their head, and one of them, literally just 5, probably not even 10 minutes. Oh, someone's camera is on. Not even 10 minutes, Sharon. And they says, that felt so good. Do you know what I mean? Just that. That's how powerful human contact is with someone else in helping to relieve any tension.
That was so the chair worked then. That's good.
The chair massage works. But anyway, nobody has stayed awake all the way to the end. No, not happening, because your blood is circulating. You are helping to relieve the tension. And when your blood is circulating gently, it gives that feeling of relaxation. And you're so relaxed, less stressed, you know.
And when you've got that coupled with like maybe some lavender essential oils, that's it. They're gone, double gone.
Yes,
double
absolutely.
gone.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hi, Sharon. Do we want to open up the,
yes,
the discussion for any questions or any other thoughts?
All right, thank you.
Definitely, thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you.
Questions? I'm seeing a couple more comments, but we'll take some live questions.
Thanks for joining us. Someone says I had to go. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Cynthia. Mrs. Wright. Somebody had a... Okay, this person experienced a massage and slept like a baby. Okay. That was the desired effect. Fantastic.
And this presentation wasn't about massage, but what people have to understand, it's one of the oldest treatments that God has given us. And we are always handing it over to the adversary. We're always handing these things over to the enemy of our souls. And then they turn it into something it's not. It's actually a treatment. It's actually a treatment.
I mean, someone even said that some people have married their smart girl robots. I mean, that's just crazy.
They have. I'm not going to tell you what they're using the metaverse.
No,
it's not nice. I didn't even want to put it in the presentation.
It's evil.
Absolutely, yes, that's the word, evil.
Okay, so we've got maybe 5 minutes or so for questions.
I will. I promise you that I'm going to, in time to come, show you the reflex areas on the body. And I know that Barbara O'Neill alluded to it before. And we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and everything is interconnected.
Yep.
That's what people have to understand. You know, even Paul says it in the Bible. You know, we are one body, right? And all parts of the body, the different parts of the body have their part to play in our function. It's very, very important to recognize that fact.
It all comes together to further emphasize that we were made by a master designer.
Absolutely.
This was no accident. So Sonia's looking forward to that reflexology.
Oh, I'm going to.
Or whatever you wish to call it. Maybe not reflexology.
I trained reflexologist, so I can't call myself anything else. However, it's the reflexes in the body. It's our reflexes in the body and how it connects with one another that makes our body function, and how we feel pain and where we feel pain. And sometimes you may feel pain in your shoulder, but it's actually something else that's going on.
Well, it looks like a part 2's on the cards then, Sister Joan. I'm not sure how soon that's going to be, but it's going to be soon.
I don't know how soon, because I really want to do it properly.
And we know that you are busy as well with phase 2 of the medical missionary training.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, we'll start writing that one, please.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, you'll be surprised. You see how fruits and vegetables, God has made them in a way that you know the kidney beans, the kidneys, and how you can actually do that with the body.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, looking forward to that one then. Definitely.
All right.
So if there's I'm not seeing any hands or anybody else on mute. So at this juncture we could run the Kefenly video again.
Okay. And by the way, at Kefenly, just to let you all know, there's going to be myself and another masseuse that will be there. Yep. And if you want a massage, you can, just for a small fee, enjoy a wonderful massage from either of us. We are going to have a therapy room.
Yes. So come apart.
Therapy room. So come apart, we mean to say you're coming apart and you're going to rest.
You're not coming apart like limb from limb.
Yeah, you are going to rest. And we will have a therapy room. You will have a chance to talk to real people. I was talking to someone who was registering, and she says, can I just ask a question? Am I actually going to see, like, you know, Pastor Davis and Connor and Vine in the flesh? And I says, yeah, we're not going to put them on a big screen. You know, you're not coming all the way down there and see them in the flesh. In the flesh. You're going to see all of us in the flesh by the grace of God. And we will be there for you. And we're absolutely super excited. So if you can come, please come. We're not going to beg you. We're going to give you a choice, but you don't want to miss it.
No.
There's a hand, Sharon.
Oh, I missed that one, Jonathan. Yes, please invite it's somebody whose device is called Michael.
Oh, Michael.
I've learnt now.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for that presentation.
Good afternoon, Michael.
Yes. Just a question here. Do you guys have a mobile massage service? Mobile massage service. Right?
Oh, mobile massage service. Yes. You know, Michael, if you get in touch, if you want is it a massage for you?
Not exactly. Yeah.
Well, we have females massaging females and males massaging males. So we do have some male masseuse that I know of that is more than happy to do that. And definitely. Yes, I have done mobile massages, but I also offer massages at Manor House in Circle. So if you do want one, you can book through there as well, which for some, you know, sometimes it makes it easier than in your home environment. Although some ladies prefer it in their home, because after I've massaged them, they says, I am going to go to bed.
Exactly.
Relax, yeah. So please make contact.
So the fee is different from if you go to come to Manor House?
Yeah. You can book through Manor House as well.
No, the fee, is it the same fee or different fees?
No, it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll just need to contact Joan directly. You can leave a message in the chat.
Yeah.
Do that. A direct message to Joan with details, but
that's fine.
We won't be taking any bookings as such on here. No. But you can leave your contact details or something like that.
Absolutely. But I do know of male massage therapists and myself and other female massage therapists.
Okay.
Very, very important. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. I really enjoyed that, you know.
Oh, so did I.
I did enjoy that. I did. We have to be mindful. We have to be awake. We have to be alert. And we have to be real and true to ourselves. And let's not go into this artificial stuff. I'm begging you, do not. Let's continue to be as real as possible to one another. It's what connects us. It's definitely. We're in danger when it's taken away.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for that, Joan. You know, I can't thank you enough, but then, you know, all the glory goes to God.
It does.
God, so
it does. Absolutely.
Of our knowledge. So I'm just going to share the, for those of you who missed the video at the beginning, just to remind you that we do have this presentation recorded live. So you can always go back onto YouTube, type in True Temperance International, and you'll see the most up-to-date presentation. If you're struggling to find the most up-to-date, then just put in one of the words in the title, such as touch. Okay, True Temperance International space touch, then it should pop up in YouTube as one of the videos, but you probably see this one as the most, obviously it's still recording, so it's not there yet, but if you go onto YouTube now, well, you're watching it anyway. Okay, so I'll just quickly click play. Can you hear that?
Come Apart and Rest a While is a one-week holistic retreat in the relaxed rolling hills of the Welsh countryside. With something for everyone, from health checks and massages to seminars on country living, cooking demonstrations and the use of herbs, this conference brings together ministries from around the British Isles, sharing their experience and knowledge with you in a health retreat environment. Running from the 29th of August until September the 4th at the Seafon Conference Centre. Whether it's for the week, the weekend, or just a day, your short vacation will exceed your expectation. And with food services ranging from self-catered to plant-based meals, and with comfortable spaces available from ensuite chalets to leisure homes and caravans, you can enjoy your tranquil accommodation. So take some rest, be refreshed, and make sure to make your reservation today. See you there.
Okay, and I saw that the telephone sign there, Joan, at the end. Yeah, give a call. I'm not hearing you, Joan. What's happened?
Yeah, we're super excited. Super excited. We want to be there.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just. I don't know if there's anybody that has any questions about the retreat, or have we covered the majority of it already? I don't think there are any questions.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I could quickly just run through the other promos that we have that we showed at the beginning. Let me just see what's relevant. It's not all relevant. Oops. Okay, sorry, I did something wrong there. There we go. I think that's the one. Yeah, it's just backwards. Where do I bring the slideshow up? Where's my mouse? Here we go. Just take a breath, Sharon. We'll get there. So yes, as you know, we are on the Family Health Show. We've just had a presentation, The Necessity of Touch, and it has been excellent. So if you've missed it, you can always catch it on YouTube. And there is our disclaimer. We mentioned about the Telegram groups earlier, because this is our way of connecting with each other during the week. And I'm not sure if, Joan, if you actually had a challenge for this week. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Maybe you're thinking of one as I'm speaking. But on here, we have the URLs for our Telegram connection groups for the men's wellness and the women's wellness and the spiritual health groups. So if you wish to liaise with us in the week, you can find us on Telegram. This is where you can post questions, maybe something you hadn't thought of initially, but comes to mind later. And if you're a man, join the men's wellness group. If you're female, join the women's wellness group. And if you wish to stay in tune with some spiritual encouragement or even share some or prayer requests, you can join the spiritual health group. So that's there for you. Okay. Then we have Come Apart and Rest a While. There's our poster. And now at this point, I'd like to thank our videographers and poster maker team, ministry team. They've done a wonderful job. I'm sure you can all agree with me, and we really appreciate their hard work in putting that together for our ministries. And there we have a promotion for a temperance specific aimed conference with regards to quitting smoking. So obviously temperance is about abstaining from something that is harmful and in moderate use of what is good. And this, we all know smoking is harmful. So this is a residential in Scotland for a week from the 6th to the 16th, to the 22nd of May. And this will be run by Louise Reed and Coleth Bailey. The information is there on the slide for you on the poster. For more information, call those numbers. And there we go. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for staying with us to the end. The race is not for the swift, but those that endure. Maybe that's a place that quote in the wrong place. But however, thank you for stopping with us, for all your support, for your prayers, for your encouragement, for sharing the links as well with individuals who perhaps would never have heard of TTI. And also, if you wish to support us financially, because there are some financial requirements that is needed for us to put these presentations on, as well as working in various communities that we're involved in. Our account details are there if you wish to take a note of that. Grab a screenshot, and we would appreciate that. Thank you so much again. And next week, we do have another session for you. It's in the making. And so look out for our posters for next week's presentation, next week's show. It's going to be interactive of a sort. Okay, so yeah, definitely interactive, to be honest. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you then. And at this point, we're going to say goodbye to those who are joining us on YouTube. So goodbye from the TTI show, from Sharon, Jonathan. Anything you'd like